Hey, Foot Clan, we know more and more people are starting to listen as we get closer to the fantasy football season. And if you are just picking back up for the 2017 season, you need to know the Ultimate Draft Kit. It is already up. It is available for you to get this year to dominate your league. All of the same stuff from last year with our player projections, our video profiles on everybody, our tiered rankings. It's all there. There's even more this year with Matt Harmon's reception perception and some really cool stuff that's not in there yet that is about to go live. Check it out at ultimatedraftkit.com.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the FantasyJocks.com studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
We're back. A fresh week.
Ooh.
A fresh week begins.
Nothing better than a
with
fresh
the fantasy
week.
Footballers. Tuesday, June 13th. June is close to July. July's right next to August. August is right near September. In September, they kick off the season.
Well,
so
when you say it that way, it's like football is about to start.
I feel like it's already here, Mike.
And you're a terrible person because it's not about to start.
You're missing a game right now.
We had to rewind all the way back to June, but that's all right. We're here. The podcast is live.
Yeah, we're here. We're always here. That's what we do. We talk fantasy football front to back all the time. If you're new to the show, welcome aboard. The Fantasy Footballers, Andy, Mike, and Jason. Back again, June 13th, as I said, and we have a great show for you today. Some sleepers and some values on the show today. If you did not tune into the last episode, go back, check it out. We had breakouts, right, and we had busts on that episode, some early picks, and we have values and sleepers on the show today. A ton of news we're going to debate, including the Jeremy Maclin news that just recently broke.
A lot of news today.
If you want to win a signed Lev Bell jersey, head to footclangiveaway.com. We're giving away a signed Lev Bell jersey, also an ultimate DFS pass for the 2017 season, and a bunch of swag from the show. Free giveaway. We're going to try to do these giveaways pretty much all the time because it's great. Mike just picked up a T.Y. Hilton jersey we might give away down the line as well.
Well, spoiler alert, man.
I know. Sorry. So check it out, footclangiveaway.com. Jason talked about the Ultimate Draft Kit at the top of the show. Here's a quick question that came in. What is your favorite time of year for fantasy football? Okay, we just said we're year-round. We experience all these. Is it the actual draft day?
Oh, man.
Is it the in-season, which includes the playoffs? So this is when the games are taking place. Or is it the off-season? So you've got draft and you've got OTAs and you've got training camp. But more than that, you have fantasy draft prep and mock drafting and talking about rankings and all of that season. And if I haven't given it away by describing that one so passionately, I believe that is my favorite time of year, is the fantasy off-season, as much as I love watching my players fail me despite my projections.
Now, is the fantasy draft, is that included in this list?
It is a choice. It is separate.
I thought A was the actual NFL draft.
No. The fantasy draft is one choice.
So where is the actual NFL draft lumped in? Just the off-season?
That's off-season.
Oh, man.
So you got in-season when you're playing, off-season when you're prepping, and then its own season is the day.
The draft day.
The draft day.
Well, we've always say draft day is our Christmas.
Yeah.
So do you go with Christmas or do you go with
I gotta
the Christmas season?
I got to go in season.
The lights are up on the houses.
In season strictly because of the playoffs. When you are in the fantasy playoffs of your league of record, every day is another nauseous stomach ache waiting to happen.
That doesn't sound like a time you would choose.
Oh, no, it's fun.
No, I love vomiting.
And as you like, it's Monday. Okay, I'm in. I have to wait all the way until Sunday until this action is decided, and the anticipation, the prep is in a binge watching society where when Game of Thrones comes out, that's the week in between. You have to wait the build up. That's why I love the fantasy playoffs so much, is because it forces you to sit through that, and that would be my favorite time of year.
Yeah,
all right, Jason?
I will tell you, I'm tempted to choose that one because of how thirsty I am right now for football. Like, we went to Red Robin today, and up on the screens was just some old football games. And I'm like, I want it, but I have to go with the draft day.
Yeah,
and I'm not just
you.
doing this so that we can each have one of each selection.
It's very convenient.
This is what makes us a good team, right? We all like different aspects of the fantasy football
the
season.
Christmas morning.
Draft day truly is my Christmas. I mean, that day and even the night before, the last second prepping. And I mean, that's a day that you take off work. You take off family, you just, hey, Tiff, I love you. You ain't seeing me today.
I know. It's like, and what's funny about that day is I'm so paranoid on draft day about somehow missing the draft, being sick for the draft. Not only will I warn my wife like 4 extra times in advance, like that I'm not available that day, right, honey? You know that you cannot speak to me that day, right?
Have you ever had a nightmare that you showed up to the draft without your cheat sheets or without pants?
You've had that one?
No, I'm asking.
No,
I
have had
for a friend.
I've driven 5 miles an hour slower home from work before because of the draft day. So I definitely understand that anticipation and paranoia. So great quick question. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can send us your ideas for the quick question at the FF Ballers. The website's thefantasyfootballers.com. Our community is jointhefoot.com. Become part of the Foot Clan. Let's talk news.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, big news. Jeremy Maclin has signed a 2-year deal with the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens. It actually came down to the Ravens and the Eagles.
Ooh.
Not the Ravens and the Bills, as had been previously reported. He did visit Buffalo, but it was between the Eagles pursuing Maclin to bring him back home or the Ravens. The Ravens come away with Jeremy Maclin, a 2-year deal. We've talked at length, including the last show, which I will now retract a good portion of my Brashad Perryman excitement. And that's, look, new information, new decision. I'm pulling him off of the sleeper table.
Yep.
Because there's a giant target that just arrived in Baltimore, and his name's Jeremy Maclin, one of the players that I've been a monster fan of for years. Jason and I had a very heralded water bet that I barely,
the dirty cake
I
bet,
barely
yes.
survived. 1,000-yard bet in Kansas City in his year 1, where I believe he had something like 1,070
or
maybe?
something.
Yeah. So what is the storyline here for Jeremy Maclin? We've all adjusted our rankings. You can see those on the website. Somehow I've ended up the least bullish on Jeremy Maclin.
Crazy. I mean, it's absolutely crazy because, you have always been the Jeremy Maclin apologist. And now, while Mike and I were just basically talking about the dirty ground of being, Alex Smith's wide receiver 1 and how worthless that was, now he goes to a team where the number 1 wide receiver gets a ton of targets that can be valuable, whether you're Torrey Smith in your 11-touchdown year or whether you're Steve Smith in, his several productive seasons in his elderly age with the Baltimore Ravens. I think this is a great landing spot for him. When I restatted all of the Baltimore Ravens and kind of divvied everything up, he ended up as a wide receiver 23 for me. So he is a wide receiver 2, and it's just crazy to me that I'm on the opposite side of Jeremy Maclin from you.
I think there's a reason, guys, that you have selected targets as the stat of choice in displaying what's available to him. And that's because even when Torrey Smith was Mr. Numero Uno, I believe he finished around 21, 19, 20, 21 is where he always finished. Look, Steve Smith.
You're making my argument for me.
Well, 19, 20, 21.
I got him 23.
At the peak of that situation, now you're coming in. I do like Brashad Perryman. I do like Mike Wallace. I do like what they're doing with Danny Woodhead. I just don't see – look, can he – that's his ceiling to me. So where I've actually projected him is in the 31 to 34 range. But his ceiling to me is that 2021. And to me, it's still a slightly dirty cake. Like, I like the situation, but it's not changing that much from what he was in Kansas City in the sense that he's coming in. Maybe he's the one here. He was the one there. Injury prone. Had some history of not being on the field. You have to agree with that one. He's missed a lot of time. Even in his good year, he missed a game. So at this point in his career, I'm not ready to anoint him to come in and be Joe Flacco's 1B or 1A or whatever he's going to be.
He's played a lot. I mean, he missed the year for his ACL, but aside that, of 12 games last year, 15, 16, 15. I mean, that's
a full season.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine for me.
Then what do you read a stat line from last year based on your full season assessment?
Well, no, last year was not one of the 15 or 16s, right?
Oh.
Yeah, last year was a 12 game.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
So in all of the seasons he didn't – so you only count the ones where he played all the games?
No, I just read off his last seasons. I mean, it was 12, 15, 16, 15.
But there was a whole missed season in between there.
Okay. Yes, I said he tore an ACL and he missed an entire season.
Okay, that counts. I'm just saying.
But to call him
one
injury
complete
prone,
season in the last 5 years. That's the truth.
I'll take 15
and two
games.
out of the last 4 years missed it all and missed a few games.
Okay, if that is your definition of injury prone, that's I was just fighting the injury prone label for Jeremy Maclin. But if I can see where you're coming from for your opinion, for me, Jeremy Maclin, this was the best possible landing spot after he was cut from the Chiefs. I don't know another team where he could have come in and immediately become the wide receiver 1, and I believe he is immediately the wide receiver 1. Mike Wallace can slide back into that wide receiver 2 position. That offseason buzz for him is going to die. Brashad Perryman I don't think he's that good. And I know you like him, Andy, but I don't see it. And I think Macklin's the number 1. The last 4 years, the top target for Baltimore is right around that 130 target. So I think Jeremy Maclin with 130 targets from Joe Flacco easily gets over 1,000 yards. The question will be how many touchdowns can he pull down? And I have him moderately projected for 6-7 touchdowns. And so I think that's an easily obtainable number for Maclin, and that puts him at 25 for me. It's a big upgrade for Jeremy Macklin's outlook this season.
Today's show is values and sleepers. I genuinely considered whether or not it would be fair to call Maclin a value. I think he will be a value on draft day, but it's just too hard to project what the people will do with his ADP, I decided not to.
You don't want to ask the voice of public opinion to see where he ends up?
The voice of public opinion is still gathering his opinion.
Fair enough.
That's what I mean. The masses, I don't know if people are all aboard or if they're still going, well, Joe Flacco, there's Mike Wallace and all this, other Brashad Perriman. I mean, I've made my case. I do think he finishes the year as a wide receiver 2.
Jeremy Maclin, that's that news. Now we've got Eric Decker.
Yeah.
Released by the Jets. Jets tried to trade him. Where does Eric Decker end up now that he's been released by the Jets, and does he make a fantasy impact?
I have no idea. I have no idea where Eric Decker is going to go. There's apparently more rumors in the bushes that Baltimore may not be done, and they're going to try to acquire Eric Decker. We'll see.
Does that mean Philadelphia wants somebody, or was this a hometown guy only situation?
No, I was just going to say if Philly was going after Maclin, I mean, you could make that argument that maybe they just wanted him back. But I think they want to prove that Carson Wentz is, the future star, and they want, every asset they can have. So I think Eric Decker's in play for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you still
there was a report from Mike Garofalo saying that he doubted the Eagles will pursue him. Only because Maclin was the hometown guy. But we will see. They have been willing to sign a ton of wide receivers this offseason.
And Buffalo makes a lot of sense. That doesn't mean that Buffalo is going to go after him. And I think Arizona makes a lot of sense. Secure the wide receiver position as their Super Bowl window is just
cracked,
barely. Just cracked. I mean, there's not many insects that can actually fit through the crack of this Super Bowl window, so if they want to go for it, I think that makes sense.
Cameron Meredith, we didn't mention this news. I guess we didn't mention it when it broke.
Yeah.
Cameron Meredith is going to miss the remainder of the offseason program with a thumb injury. It's a setback for Meredith, somebody that you wanted to see establish himself in Chicago early on as a potential, target in the offense.
When the news was floating around, it was, well, he'll be back by training camp. Oh, surgery has not been ruled out. So we're still not 100% sure what's going on with the thumb. But if he's back by training camp, I think everything will still be on target.
Big Matt Harmon supports Cameron Meredith and what he did last year.
Yeah,
he looked great. I mean, our What's on Tape series liked Cam Meredith. I know you called Cam Meredith, Andy, last year before he really broke out as, a good breakout candidate. So Cam, get back to camp soon.
Yeah.
You need to develop that rapport with Wentz.
Julian.
Mike Glennon.
Julian.
Yeah, right. Sure. Wink, wink.
Julian Edelman, 2-year
yeah.
contract extension through 2019, $5 million signing bonus. Well, he's still there.
Yeah, and
catching 1,000 passes from Tom Brady.
you got to retract your Brashad Perryman sleeper alert. I now have to pull back on my hope for Brandon Cook's dynasty next year, trying to go fortune teller. Edelman's there. He's going to be there for the foreseeable future. They paid him. They extended him. This doesn't seem like a simple workaround of salary cap to me. This seems like they want him to be on the team moving forward.
Lions camp, offensive lineman Taylor Decker. What's the story with Taylor Decker and your hope for that offensive line, Ameer Abdullah?
Yeah, it's a huge hit for the Lions offensive
Surgery,
line.
torn labrum, recovery time is 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, he is a candidate to start the league or start the year on the PUP list. We don't know if he's I'm saying the coach, now his name is escaping me, Detroit's coach.
Caldwell?
Thank you. Caldwell has said he thinks he'll be back sometime during the season, so that's at least positive news, but that's a big hit for that offensive line. I'm not lowering Ameer Abdullah in my projections. I think that they can still survive with lower quality left tackle play, but it could be a hit for Stafford if he's going to take damage from the left side.
Tyreek Hill not going to return kickoffs this year, according to the special teams coordinator for the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
That's because Andy Reid's come out and said Tyreek Hill's the number one wide receiver on that team.
Yeah, you can
Might
take
still
that.
be used as a punt returner. My guess is they'll use him selectively as a punt returner in situations where punting to him is going to really benefit the team, but games are out of hand, the lower the risk.
Yeah, you could take this as good news if you're a Tyreek supporter, in the sense that the fact that they're saying, hey, our best guy at returning kickoffs, we're going to not do that. It's obviously because they genuinely plan on getting him involved. They can't have him hurt on kickoffs. More work going to him. But if you're in any kind of return yardage league,
he's no longer the golden star.
Right, exactly.
All right, let's play the alphabet game. We got X's and Y's and Z's. Let's talk about the news that there are 2 reports that came out. One that said Josh Doctson is going to be in the Z receiver role,
Which was Pierre Garçon's
role. And then another report came out saying Jamison Crowder is going to play in all the 2 wide receiver sets, which it seems to contradict the report to a degree, right?
Well, to me, it also in that report it said that when they go to 3 wide sets,
Crowder's the Z on 2 wide receiver sets,
and so when they go 3, then Doctson or Crowder will slide back into the slot, and Doctson will replace him. So I just wanted to bring this up because on the surface, it's that's either a big boost for Crowder and a big hit for Josh Doctson because Doctson won't be in on 3 wide receiver sets. However, only 14% of passing plays for Washington were 2 wide receiver sets. So this is not this doesn't move the needle for me.
The more important of those 2 reports then would be that Doctson would be going into the role. If this report is accurate, the more important, relevant report is the fact that he is set to take over the Pierre Garçon role in the offense. That doesn't mean the targets would be the same. Well, he's obviously a different player, but as far as where he's lining up in that offense, he would be taking on more of that role.
And that role has equated to about 72 catches and 800-something yards over the last 3 years. That's the average for Garçon in that role.
But that's Garçon. So Josh Doctson can still – that's not his ceiling to me. You have young Josh Doctson.
No, I don't think it's his ceiling, but I think it's important perspective because there are some that would want to anoint – like they hear that report and it's glowing. To me, I'm saying even Pierre Garçon, and just got paid to go to San Francisco, who was in that position in that offense – average 72 receptions and 880-something yards.
Is this not how we were already projecting?
It is.
Because I was going to say,
it is.
I was already kind of putting Doctson in that Pierre Garçon role, and
the deep threat is Terrelle Pryor.
And
his role is locked and loaded. I mean, he's not coming off the field, but this is a good-looking offense. I think it's an underrated offense because everyone's freaking out about Garçon and Djax leaving, but they have a growing talent in Crowder. 2 great running backs. They have a very powerful offense to me. All right.
Speaking of the running backs, I need to get Brooks's take on this next bit of news.
Go ahead.
That said, Washington's OC has said they're going to go with the hot hand at running back. I wanted to go live to Brooks here, who snatched Samaje Perine in front of me in the rookie draft. I want to know, how do you feel about that, knowing that Rob Kelley, who's on my team, may be eating snaps from your sensational rookie?
Thoughts, Brooks?
I think Perine, he's gonna get it eventually. He's gonna take it and run with it, man.
Take that, Brooks.
Hot hand.
Hot hand.
Yeah, this makes
Is
me
his
so
hand
sad.
as hot as Matt Jones's hand was, or is this Rob Kelley's hot
This
hand?
is one of those reports that comes out
This
and
is
just
such-
verifies exactly what we were already assuming. Is like, okay, I assumed Rob Kelley would start the year as the starter.
What are you going to say right now
And
before camp battles begin?
If he's great, he'll keep it, right?
Right.
I selfishly put this in here so I can mock Brooks.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Eddie Lacy's met his June weight target, came in under 250 pounds.
Love it. Good for
Yeah.
you, Lacy. Keep it going, man. I told Jason, every time he hits one of these thresholds, I'm giving him that slight bump.
I just want you guys,
because I had him buried.
I just want you guys to eventually come to where I've been at.
Yeah,
And,
The buffet?
Yeah, me and Eddie.
I told Jason, I said, it hurts my heart so much to speak negatively of, because I've loved Eddie
Of course.
Lacy for his
Of course.
entire career. I want to love you,
Hey,
Eddie.
He's very
All
good.
right, we're done with the news. We're going to jump right into sleepers and values. Before we do that, I want to thank Thumbtack. Today's episode is brought to you by Thumbtack. It's an app, and it makes it easy to hire and find skilled local professionals for anything on your list. And I do mean anything. You're talking about over 1,100 different services that you can find on Thumbtack nationwide. You just go to the Thumbtack app, tell them a little bit about your project, and within 24 hours you get all these estimates. You're talking carpet cleaners to personal training to photographers to piano teachers. I have personally used this app, and it's so easy that I used it back to back. I used it right away. I used it to find somebody to come out and take care of a pest problem, and then I turned around and used it again to have a landscaper come out and take care of a landscaping issue on the property as well. It took 2 seconds. This is the modern way of doing things. I absolutely love this app. And so we want to thank them for sponsoring the show. They make it super, super easy to find pros to pretty much do anything that you need. And I'm much more of a button pusher type of guy than a sift through a phone book, is it? Or how do you find people anymore? You ask a friend who asks a friend?
Nobody knows.
See, that's the thing.
Thumbtack.
That's what made it impressive
That's how.
to me is both of the professionals I work with, I really, really liked them. They were vetted. They were great. So download the app. Try it now at thumbtack.com. That's thumbtack.com. All right, guys, let's do it.
Sleepers.
Oh, that gets me jazzed.
That's a little Zeppelin-y.
That was interesting, Mike. Well done.
Woo. I'm fired up. I'm not going to sleep.
It's not gonna last long because I'm gonna drop the name Robert Woods.
Oh.
That's the thing about sleepers is that everyone's sleeping on them, right?
I went with Robert Woods for my sleeper. And for those of you out there saying things like, huh, Robert Woods? Or who's Robert Woods?
Or saying, are you sure you want to do that?
Robert Woods is 25 years old. And if you didn't know, he's a wide receiver for the Los Angeles Rams. And he's basically free in drafts.
Well, yeah.
And he's basically the one on the Rams. And look, this is a team that had 1,000 blemishes last year, okay? We would all admit. In fact, if they came out with a 2016 album for the Los Angeles Rams, the title would be 1,000 Blemishes, starring Jared Goff as the lead singer. But to me, you also have to look. Kenny Britt, 1,000-yard season in that offense last year. And Robert Woods is somebody who, when I've watched him, he has always passed the eye test. Like I said, 25 years old, free agent contract. Buffalo didn't throw the ball. Buffalo was always in the bottom of the league in terms of percentage of balls thrown passing offense-wise. So you had 51% of the time they threw the ball. Well, in Sean McVay's offenses, it's been at 62, 63%. Greg Olson, the quarterback's coach, it's been at 63, 64% when he was with Jacksonville. Now you're coming from 51% of the time in Buffalo. I think you're going to be more near that 60% of the time in Los Angeles. And we've talked extensively about Baltimore. Oh, my gosh, all the targets are gone in Baltimore. They're gone in Los Angeles, too. Kenny Britt, Kendricks, Brian Quick, Cunningham. That's 296 passing targets in that offense. That's 55% of their passing offense. So to me, between the coaching change, the free agent investment, and what I've seen with Robert Woods with my eyeballs, this is a 100-target season for Robert Woods. This is a chance to make a huge impact. You've got rookies all around you. So to me, I think a great sleeper pick is Robert Woods. I love him in deep leagues. I love him in leagues where you're waiting on a wide receiver and you're saying to yourself, boy, I'd love to grab somebody in the late rounds that I could potentially start. You could start Robert Woods. That's my opinion. And he's a 14th round pick right now.
Yeah, I don't dislike it by any means. We talk about, you want a running back to be on a higher scoring offense. You want positive game scripts. Well, I want wide receivers where I know they're going to throw the ball, and Robert Woods certainly fits that bill. Can Cooper Kupp establish himself as the one? Probably not. Josh Reynolds, Mike Thomas. I mean, Robert Woods is
Tavon Austin.
Yeah, that's really
No.
funny. That
Tavon
I go
gets
through
forgotten
these
all the time.
I'm sorry, Mr. Austin. No, but he's not going to establish
Woods
himself
is a
as the one
possession
either.
guy. I'm not expecting a bunch of touchdowns from him,
Right.
but I'm expecting catches.
Yeah. All right, Mike, who do you got?
All right, I'm going to jump in here with a player who is being forgotten, and admittedly, even by myself, I feel like I've overlooked what he did last year, and that is Taylor Gabriel. For the Atlanta Falcons. He didn't even start the year on Atlanta. He came in week 2, was getting worked into the offense, and then we know what the Atlanta offense did last year. They were the highest scoring offense in the league by 70 points. They had 70 more points than second place New Orleans Saints. Taylor Gabriel, weeks 8 through 15, was a wide receiver 2 or better in 6 of those 7 games. He was a wide receiver 1 twice in that time period. During that time period, he was the overall wide receiver 4 in points per game.
Were there some missed games by Julio in that stretch?
No, I don't believe so.
I was just curious.
But he's highly volatile. During that time, he was only in on 52% of snaps. He was under 40% of snaps twice. But he's the wide receiver 3 for an extremely high-powered offense. Well, I am okay calling for the Atlanta Falcons to have a regression from last year because last year was absolutely outrageous. I still think that they are one of the more potent offenses in the league, and to get an absolutely free asset from that passing game with Taylor Gabriel, who can make huge things happen. I mean, people are falling all over themselves to get Tyreek Hill on their team because he's a freak. He has big plays here and there, but he's not on a passing offense. Taylor Gabriel is, and he's absolutely free in the back of drafts.
Let me ask the question to Jason here. I think you see polar opposites between the Robert Woods situation and the Taylor Gabriel situation because Woods maybe high volume, bad offense.
It's absolutely roster
Taylor
construction.
Gabriel is this lightning rod. Almost reminds me, the only worry I have with him is it reminds me of Ted Ginn 2 years ago with that Super Carolina
That's fair.
offense, 10 touchdowns, burst onto the scene, but then is the volume good enough in year 2? Jason, if you were on the clock, is it roster construction that makes you choose between Woods and Gabriel?
No, it's not. I would go Woods 100% of the time unless I was playing best ball, where I know that you're going to have a few big weeks from Gabriel. I just don't know that I will ever be able to have the confidence to start him, whereas Robert Woods, I can start. I'm sure I won't get the same ceiling. And usually for sleepers, we try to swing for the fences, so I get that pick. But I like Robert Woods a lot. They paid him a ton of money to come in.
How much?
A ton of money. I mean, it's a lot. I think Tavon Austin.
There's a Los Angeles Rams tax.
Yeah, that's true. And so
They gave him that Kyle Juszczyk money.
I've always enjoyed watching Robert Woods. Thought he's better than his quarterback play, and he sadly probably still will be.
25 years old.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep saying that.
I'm going to go
Dude,
with
don't make us start going Kenny Stills is
I'm
24.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Kenny Stills is 24. And I love him.
Jason's changing his sleeper.
My sleeper's Kenny Stills. No,
Yeah.
you guys both went wide receiver, so I wanted to go elsewhere. And there's so many sleepers, that are worthy about talking about. That
Oh, you went Jay Grizz.
I did, but look, I love Eric Ebron. Probably not a sleeper anymore. I'm going to throw this out there. Kobe Fleener, I still love. You can at me on Twitter if you really need to from last year. But I want to talk about a guy that we haven't really discussed much as hey, I think he's worth drafting. And he's virtually free. He's back in those double-digit rounds. And that's Jacquizz Rodgers. Jacquizz Rodgers is the current, de facto starter for the first 3 weeks of the season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And what we saw last year was when he was given that opportunity, when Doug Martin went out and he was given the opportunity to be the starter, he was great with it. I mean, he was essentially – he put up 18.4 points, 19.4, and 16.3 points. I'll take those weeks every single week from a running back. If you look at the top 4 weeks last year of all Tampa Bay starters – for running backs, 3 of them were Jacquizz Rodgers.
Oh, that's so weird.
Right? I know. But don't worry. Doug Martin did get one of those. I believe that he is an asset. I'm going to talk about something that's a little weird to think about, but it's really true.
I'm scared.
It's really true that when you start your fantasy football league out on top, you tend to make better transactions. You're not playing on tilt. When you start 1-4, all of a sudden you feel like
you're trading your best player away.
You gotta do
out.
something to mix it up, and you make mistakes. I think Quiz is a guy that can come in late, a very late addition to your roster who you should be starting in those first few weeks. He proved himself valuable, and then at that point, when Doug Martin comes back, yes, he'll go to the back of the line. We assume he did that last year. When Doug Martin came back, he was gone. Jacquizz was not really involved much at that point. And then, of course, when Martin went down again in week 16,
benched and then suspended.
Sure, yes. When he went away again, then what did he do? He came right back and had another RB2 performance. So, look, he is behind a guy who has had production problems, health problems, and now suspension problems. He's been productive. You're going to get some value out of him for those 3 weeks.
Holy trinity of danger for running backs right there.
Look, it's not the prettiest picture, and maybe you use him for 3 weeks and cut him. But how's that very different from a Taylor Gabriel or a Robert Woods or these other guys you're going to be drafting late where you're hoping for something, you get nothing and cut them. Give me 3 weeks of quality, and then maybe he sticks around, maybe not, and then I cut him. So I just wanted to bring up Quiz as a guy that he's going to help people in the beginning of the season.
All right, let's talk values.
Values.
I like that one.
That's a sneaky one.
That's good.
That's you're
I know better than to talk over the end. I know that.
Yeah, you've learned your lesson. Professional.
All right, let's let Jason kick this one off here. We're in the values.
Back-to-back Jason.
By the way, I'm going to go backwards for a second. We're talking about sleepers and values, and I think it's one of the more difficult things, and maybe this is a fool's errand to even do this, but it's one of the more difficult things to perfectly define a sleeper because it means different things to different people. The way that I treat a sleeper is somebody that is not expected to do well that you think might do well.
Yeah. Sure. It's a pretty simple way to say it.
And then a value is a guy who you expect to do well, but it's just going late in drafts for some reason.
Yeah, going too far, too late in drafts where all of a sudden you're looking at him and you're saying, wow.
He's going to outperform.
It seems simple, but I will also say that, I very often see sleepers as just people with a super late ADP. Eric Ebron, for instance, could be a sleeper to me because you can grab him in certain leagues, the 12th round, but he's not really a sleeper because he's been productive before. People know who he is. So I see the argument.
It's like Jason on the show. Most people, they're not
like,
expecting
is he a sleeper
lot.
or a value? Is probably both.
Right.
I mean,
more of a sleeper.
I get very sleepy after lunch.
Yeah, we know that from today.
You guys get oh my goodness. I'm surprised I'm here with us on the show after that lunch.
I'm surprised I'm here with us. I'm not even sure.
Sounds about
I'm not
right.
even sure what that means exactly.
It shows you that lunch was delicious.
Yeah.
All right,
it
so
was pretty good. Sriracha burger.
My value, despite the fact that he just lost a few weeks of his left tackle, is Matthew Stafford. I think overall their offensive line is still.
I love Matthew Stafford.
You love Matthew Stafford. Good. Overall their offensive line I think is improved. I agree it's a loss to have your starting left tackle go down, but he should be back this season. Maybe you have a few weeks before it gets completely in order, but Matthew Stafford is a guy that when you're talking values is being undervalued. He's going in the double-digit rounds, and currently he's the 15th quarterback off the board on average. He's the 15th guy taken. He's my quarterback 8 coming into this year.
That's Alex Smith's dream spot.
Yes.
The 15.
And if you look at, the previous few years, I mean, since 2011, the lowest that Stafford has ever finished in that time is the quarterback 15. So if you're grabbing him at 15 and he has the worst season he's had since 2011, he'll probably return value. Otherwise, aside from that season, he finished 7th, 9th, 7th, 11th, and 5th. So he's a guy that can get it done. The first 6 weeks of last year, when he had a healthy team around him and hadn't dislocated his finger yet, he was in the MVP talk, if you remember, as he was leading the Lions like crazy. He was the number 2 quarterback in fantasy football. He was on fire. Then he started losing pieces. That's when Eric Ebron went down for a couple weeks. Theo Riddick went down for the first time. Obviously, he had already lost Ameer Abdullah. Marvin Jones forgot how to play football around that time.
So he did. He lost Marvin Jones.
Yeah,
he was there, but he
completely
was very
lost Marvin Jones. The way that I look at it coming into this current season is, the offensive line has been improved elsewhere. You've got a healthy Abdullah. In theory, a healthy Abdullah, healthy Riddick, healthy Ebron, Marvin Jones in his second year. You add Kenny Golladay, a rookie that a lot of people like. I think he has the tools, the weapons, the history of proven performance.
You know who's getting hype, too?
Who's that?
Your boy. Abderus.
Oh.
He's getting some Lions buzz.
I love Abderus. Him's good.
Abderus.
My point is he should not be the 15th quarterback off the board. When you go with the late round quarterback model and you are realizing you're going to stream, you're still hoping when you take that quarterback, you're wanting a guy that you might not have to stream because he just comes on gangbusters and goes Matt Ryan last year. To me, Matthew Stafford's a guy that could do that. This is a team that could do that. They have the weapons to do that. I love him as a good value late in drafts.
I'm going to give you my value now.
Thanks.
Wow.
Great. Well, you seem upset about it.
And I've had a dentist inject my mouth with Novocaine, so I don't have to feel the words coming out of my mouth.
I'm worried.
I'm going to say Ted Ginn Jr. is a value.
You should be very happy about this.
If you think I enjoy making Ted Ginn Jr. my value, you would be wrong, but he is my value. Yes, Ted Ginn Jr., never a season above 56 receptions, never been consistent, but to me, it's talent and opportunity. And Drew Brees provides a whole lot of opportunity.
And talent.
And Ted Ginn has talent to run. He can run fast, and it hasn't stopped. He's always been able to do that, and the last 2 years he's pushed 100 targets. Now, that is only equated to 40-something and 50-something receptions.
Cam Newton.
But, yeah, no, you're right. One of the most accurate, Drew Brees. One of the most inaccurate, Cam Newton. Now, the world is anointing Willie Snead and Michael Thomas. But those are really, really –
You call me the world, sir.
Yeah, I understand it. I do. I love both of those players for similar reasons. They play with Drew Brees. But they're both very young. They're both very, very young. And I don't know exactly what the entirety of this offense will look like, but Ginn is a veteran. They've already talked about him around camp. They had missed the presence of Marcus Colston. They had missed the presence of Robert Meacham. Both of those guys were veteran presences. Meacham is the more similar to Ginn to me from an offensive perspective. But I don't know what Snead can be in this role. I don't know what Thomas will do against number one DBs for the entirety of this year. Things have changed with Brandon Cooks out the door. To me, at 65 catches, it's 800 yards, and it's 5+ touchdown upside. If he scored 10 touchdowns with Cam Newton, 5 is reasonable, and 65 for 805 in a standard league format is a value to me in the 14th round, basically an undrafted. And so I'm looking deeper leagues, a possible steal with Ted Ginn. And everything that I've heard around camp and what he's doing has been positive. I'm not buying into hype. I'm just buying into, look, opportunity and talent. I don't like saying it, but I think he can do it there.
I don't think there's any hype. He's going in the back of drafts.
I think if you're in any kind of draft-only best ball leagues, Ted Ginn's great.
I think he's fine in redraft as well.
He very well might be.
I think he's going to have
You've
value.
got his jersey on the way.
Do I?
Probably.
All right, I'm going to jump in here. I'll give you
This is the only, out of all the names, sleepers, values that we've said so far, this is the one I'm the least comfortable with.
Okay, well, that's weird because so in 2015,
You might want to say his name.
I will. We'll get there.
Oh, he's got to build the drama.
In 2015, this wide receiver put up a stat line of 64, over 1,000 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Was the wide receiver 16 in that time period. Last year, before losing the second half of the season to concussion and hamstring problems, he was on pace for 71 receptions, over 1,000 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Granted, the touchdowns did come down, but I'm talking about Allen Hurns, Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think that people are seeing what happened in the second half of last year, because he didn't play, of course, and they're just saying, oh, the touchdowns disappeared, so we need to completely bail on Allen Hurns. In my opinion, if you are still fully buying into Allen Robinson, you are at least in part buying into Blake Bortles returning to his 2015 form. And if you're buying into him returning, then why would you not want Allen Hurns who's going in the absolute back of drafts?
Pretty much undrafted.
Yes, he's essentially undrafted. And I've heard from many people, Marquise Lee. I love Marquise Lee. He came in, he replaced Allen Hurns. And the team doesn't even want Allen Hurns because they got Marquise Lee. Marquise Lee was worse for fantasy when Allen Hurns was off the field last year. Allen Hurns is still the wide receiver 2 on this team. I will give you that the team is changing philosophies, obviously, with Tom Coughlin and Leonard Fournette, but they're still going to have to throw the ball when they're getting in these losing conditions, which I expect that to continue for the most part into this season. So I think that Allen Hurns offers a huge upside for no cost.
Yeah, I feel like that's a dime a dozen situation.
1,010?
No, because he was. If you're going to count on, first you have to count on Blake Bortles returning to form. Then you have to count on Allen Hurns returning to form, and both of those things happening with Marquise Lee present. So to me, there's a billion other options that you can project. I mean, are you taking Allen Hurns over Ted Ginn Jr.?
That's pretty close. I'd probably go Ted Ginn because I think the upside is more realistic.
Taylor Gabriel? Are you taking Allen Hurns or Taylor Gabriel?
I would take Hurns over Taylor Gabriel.
You would?
Yes.
Wow.
I would as well.
Wow. So you're on board, Jason.
I am on board. I mean, when we went back and watched last year with bad Blake Bortles and realized, I was really surprised. Allen Hurns was pretty darn good with bad Blake Bortles. Yeah, I mean, I think he can get it done. I really do. I believe he is a good player. I mean, I'm not talking that he's going to be some great. Honestly, I think both of these guys, Ted Ginn and Allen Hurns, we talked about how difficult it is to say, are these values or sleepers? I see both of these guys as sleepers, guys that just might go undrafted that could really be productive for your year. But I can get behind.
I wish somebody
Allen Hurns.
would have done me the honor of opposing my Ted Ginn selection. Like,
what?
Really vehemently hated it.
You didn't have to.
I felt like it did.
You kind of did that yourself. I feel like you went full self-loathing.
Yeah,
on the Ted Ginn pick.
Yeah, we couldn't pile on anymore on you, Andy. It was, you were in a hard, dark place.
That's true. All right, let's talk mailbag.
Mailbag.
Woo! I was a little concerned.
Should have
there.
gone Blake Bortles.
I'm parched. I'm parched, and I'm running.
Yeah,
I'm
rushed
running
you.
low.
I rushed you. Welcome to the mailbag. If you have a question for the show, go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Click the Submit a Question button, or you can call us, 302-464-TFFB. Keep your voicemail short so we can answer them on the show. We're going to kick it off with a voicemail question in the mailbag.
Guys, it's Seaballs. Hey, I just wanted to know if there is a more unsexy player than Paul Perkins. I'm not really sure if it's his play on the field or his name. We might ought to change it to Ernie from accounting. Anyway, just wanted to get your take on him, and love the show. Peace.
I love this question. The timing of this, and I honestly did not know this was coming, is unbelievable.
Are you talking about Sean Green?
No, I mean,
because that's who he represents to me. You watch Paul Perkins, to me, I see Sean Green. I see somebody who's kind of okay at everything. Terrence West-esque.
Close. I was so close to making Paul Perkins my value pick. I mean, it was really when I was looking at
I like it.
Who my value would be. I went with Stafford because I wanted to get another position in there. But I think Paul Perkins is a great value this year. I don't believe in his talent as supreme or elite. But if you look at where he's being drafted right now in the 7th round and the players that are going around him,
he's a starter.
He is a starter with very little, competition for taking over the role. You have a pass catcher there in Perine. Some reports have been coming out saying really good, strong things for his pass blocking, his receiving ability, his being Paul Perkins right now out of camp. But if you look at the guys going around him, behind him, ahead of him, there's not many. There's only one other starter where you go, this guy's the starter. That's Frank Gore because he's 34 years old. Paul Perkins could very well come on gangbusters and show that there are plenty of rookie sophomore guys that come out of their first season that's meh, and then they've figured it out. They figured out NFL life.
Yeah, Devonta Freeman.
Devonta Freeman's a great example, and I'm not saying Paul Perkins will be that, but I am absolutely saying he will have the opportunity given to him to be that other guys around him just don't have. I mean, you want Jeremy Hill or Kenneth Dixon or Jonathan Stewart or even guys ahead of him. Bilal Powell right now is, in a 50-50 timeshare, and I think he's the second in that timeshare. Rob Kelley.
When you have Paul Perkins on your fantasy roster, you find the narrative for why he's going to be great. If you don't have him on your roster, people aren't trying to get him on their roster. Right. And that's to their detriment. I actually agree with you. At the value point, I would have loved that as a value because much like Terrence West, who's going way too late, you just kind of – the polish isn't there. He's not the rookie, right? He's not a rookie getting that job because if he was, he'd have the T.J. Yeldon hype of a couple years ago or these other players. He's just a second-year guy that it feels like New York went,
he's just
I guess he's our
guy.
Well, I
guess he's our starter.
3 points real quick. I liked the take because I agree with it for Paul Perkins. 2, I liked that Jason liked the word gangbuster so much he brought it back for a second time.
2 times in the same take?
Yes.
Oh.
Well,
Double
two times on the
gangbusters?
show. Yeah,
okay.
We've gone double gangbusters. 3, Paul Perkins, do you think is it because his name is Perkins?
You mean like the old family
like
restaurant?
the restaurant Perkins, you go
old family restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about things that are associated.
I can actually visualize my grandparents eating there.
I mean, you had Perkins and you had Coco's.
Yeah,
that's if Grandpa was picking that, you knew you were going to one of those 2 places. Which coincidentally,
so you're
both
saying
are.
if
his name is
there's
Paul
Smash Jackson, be like,
he'd be a
dude,
second-round pick.
Yeah.
Smash
I agree
Jackson.
With you. Smash Jackson.
I want to draft that guy right now.
I'll tell you what.
What about Scooch McBooch or whatever you said on the last show?
That was
he's
a good
folk
player.
hero. We've moved on from.
Yeah, he's retired.
Smash Jackson is the new
I'll tell
nickname
you
for
what,
Paul Perkins.
if Paul Perkins comes out gangbusters for the 3rd time, then he's Smash Jackson.
Oh yes,
we're gonna build the hype.
Smash.
You know
Jackson.
how you do? People throw these out, these player comps, and you remove the name. You're like, oh, it's player A versus player B. We're just going to start filling in. This just Smash Jackson. Look at his stat line. Look at his metrics.
Smash Jackson has a chance to start in New York this year.
You rip the tag off, and you're like,
Paul Perkins.
It's Paul Perkins. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
What have I done?
Paul Perkins from Dunder Mifflin. All
Thanks
right.
for the voicemail.
Ryan in
Z-balls.
Portland. Ryan in Portland, Oregon. Hey, guys, wondering if this would make quarterbacks more valuable. Changing TDs to 6 points and making interceptions 4 points. Just trying to be more competitive. What do you guys think?
It would just change.
Whenever you change the scoring format for quarterbacks, it doesn't really change hardly anything as far as making the position more important. The only way to do that is to go to 2 quarterbacks because then you've got the true drop-off in talent. You've got a smaller field of quarterbacks on the waiver wire, and their importance in draft and in season is there.
To highlight that, if you gave each quarterback 1,000 points per touchdown, the water level rises for everybody. Is the point? Is that relatively it does?
To be fair, though, if it's a 6-point touchdown and the interceptions get bumped up
to 4.
I mean, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
I think they've just separated themselves a little bit further
That's
at the
true.
top.
but I don't think that succeeds
But
at
it's
what
not
he's
yet.
looking
I'm
to
still
do.
going to go late round. It's not going to make the quarterback all of a sudden very, very important.
I'm listening to Jason's takes, and I'm waiting
For
how he's
gangbusters?
going to work gangbusters into it.
You know what's coming.
All right. David in Charleston, is J.J. Nelson on your radar as a wide receiver 3 potential breakout this year? I was just asked this question on a phone call this morning. Nope, he's not. He's really not, barring injury. I mean, an injury, yeah, he certainly is. He was last year due to injury, but in my opinion, he's not.
If you're looking
for a lower level Cardinal to break out,
Jerron Brown.
I love Michael Keaton.
Hey,
we did it.
Chad Williams.
I
Smash
completely,
Jackson.
I completely agree. I would much rather have Smash Jackson. Oh, Smash Jackson. Come on, Paul Perkins. Be good. Let us have this.
Be good, buddy.
No, I mean,
Don't get in trouble.
as a sleeper pick, give me Jerron Brown. He has much more of the
Prototypical size, shape.
We've said it before. J.J. Nelson is a thimble.
He's a bit player. He can come
He's a
in.
bit.
He can have a 70-yard touchdown, once or twice a year, but he's not an every week starter.
In fairness, he put on 15 pounds of muscle this offseason, so he's up to 112.
Where?
He's up to 112.
Okay.
So
That's not nice.
no.
Is that true that he put on 15?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's not. This was all just a ruse.
Man, you're going gangbusters over there. All right, what's the strongest potential QB wide receiver duo this year? Tyler in Philadelphia wants to know the strongest potential.
Oh, the strongest double
QB
stuff?
wide receiver. It's Jordy and Aaron Rodgers. Done and done. Locked and loaded.
Yep.
See you later.
I was trying to run through them real quick in my head, but I'm going Jordy Rodgers as well.
Yeah, I'm not rolling out Eli Manning. It's like I like Odell Beckham, but come on, man.
Well, Ryan Julio. Ryan was.
Speaking of Odell,
Ryan should have a
speaking of
nice
Odell
regression.
Beckham,
Oh no!
did you see his version of the hype train
No.
on Twitter?
Oh, he threw
He
out.
put out his own self-promotion video, the I'm Back video,
Where
with
did
him-
Where did he go?
where him working out on the beach.
I think he missed some of camp.
He missed some
okay.
OTAs.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. It was like he was fine last
He
year.
wants that money.
I don't blame him.
Yeah. All right, that is it for today's show. We'll be back on Thursday. We have some great episodes coming up. We have an episode about how to get better at fantasy football.
Yep.
Wouldn't you believe it? I thought we were working towards that this whole time, but we have a special episode
Well,
dedicated.
sometimes you just get too caught up in players thinking that's the end-all be-all is getting the right guys. Really, there's strategy and thought as to how to become better at all of the things.
There are other players in your league.
Yeah.
It's not just you working against the computer.
Step one, when doing player comparisons, use the name Smash Jackson.
Smash
That will
Jackson.
be on the show as the tip numero
But
uno.
a often requested advice or often requested. Wow, I've really lost control.
Your
here.
vocabulary?
Yes, I've lost the words, but frequently requested. A 2-quarterback mock draft will be happening next week. Is that correct?
Very fun.
Very likely. Yeah, we'll be at FSTA in New York City, but the show shall continue.
Show shall continue, and there could be a return. I'm just going to leave the tease at that. There could be a return.
Of a special character.
Yes.
Oh, I see what you
it's
did
not Jay Grizz.
Oh,
I'm going to shut that down.
I thought that's
before-
what you meant.
No.
No, you don't.
No. There
He's
could be
upset.
a
He's
return.
always here. Keep us.
I'm imagining getting a trade offer now from
hopefully
somebody
we're-
sending me Paul Perkins, but it says
yeah.
Smash Jackson. I'd be like,
Oh,
yes,
man.
give
Yeah.
it to me.
I'll click yes if it was Smash Jackson. Do they have gangs in New York?
Gangs?
Yeah, with
Yeah.
the 5 corners.
Yeah.
With the Butcher, Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
It's a very
that's good
dangerous
point.
place.
Who you gonna call? Gang busters. Sorry. All right, let's close the show out.
terrible.
Let's
Maybe
just,
the worst
I
thing I've
apologize
ever
to
heard.
America.
I was-
I apologize to my family. I apologize to our fans.
I was so lost.
Foot Clan, please come back.
Brooks, cut this all out of the show.
Check out fantasyjocks.com for trophies. The promo code is footballers.
Join the foot.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.